and gentlemen, welcome to our special coverage of Riding the Wave of Hainan Free Trade Port, brought to you by CGTN and SSTV. I'm your host, Liao Zhu. Now, Hainan's open economy is becoming a magnet for global investors. The introduction of the Hainan Free Trade Port law and policies and the signing of the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership have become a powerful combination. And we are here today to delve into the chemistry that is generated from this framework. Joining us today is a group of experts who will share their insights and perspectives on the development of Hainan Free Trade Port and RCEP. Let me start with our first guest today. We have Associate Professor Gu Qingyang at Lee Kuan Yew School of Public Policy and National University of Singapore. Welcome.
Hello, everybody. Hi.
Ms. Lu Yang, Research Fellow at the Institute of the Belt and Road Initiative from Tsinghua University.
Thank you for the invitation. Hello, everyone.
And we have Mr. Guo Xiaolei, Technical Director of Hainan H&A Technique. Welcome.
Thank you. Hello, everyone.
And last but not least, we have Wu Jingxuan, Special Advisor of Sanya Yazhoubei Science and Technology City Administration Bureau. Welcome. Welcome you all.
Thank you.
Now let's begin our talk about vast array of opportunities await within Hainan Free Trade Port and RCEP. Professor Gu, let me start with you first. China released the master plan 3 years ago and the Hainan Free Trade Port law 2 years ago. Why building a Hainan Free Trade Port?
I think this is a very, very important question. I would like to highlight the importance by saying one word. This is the need of the world. In our world, we need something that is driving forces for our global economy, especially after pandemic. We need to recover quickly. This is not just the one country. I think it's for the whole region. For example, ASEAN countries, Southeast Asia, East Asian countries, and even global economy. So we need something new. There's a new engine to make our economy recover quickly. So this is from the global perspective. From China's domestic issue, I think this is also very, very important. So the Hainan Free Trade Port is a real need of China's development. So China is pushing dual circulation strategy. This is a very important development path. So there are two paths. One is the domestic circulation. Another one is the international circulation. The issue is how to link these two circulation. We need an intersection. We need a platform. I think Hainan can play the big role, to be the platform. And also, Hainan can be the bridge to link China and the rest of the world. So I think Hainan Free Trade Port is a very important mega project for China itself, also for the world. We hope this will bring our world going to a new stage.
Now, how can RCEP bring benefits to Chinese market and Hainan's market and vice versa?
There will be a lot of benefits. Firstly, this is an opportunity for Hainan's development. We know Hainan is the biggest special economic zones in China. When we think about Hainan, we will think about tourism. But now the RCEP will bring a lot of opportunities to a new development in Hainan. For example, if we think about tourism, we will get better services and goods in Hainan, which means goods are cheaper and services were cheaper, and there's medical services. You can come here and enjoy the medical services. And you can also have, for example, the agriculture, tropical agriculture. These will also benefit from RCEP's development. And for Chinese government, RCEP will give Hainan an opportunity, and China will use Hainan to show the world that China would like to play a leading role in international economy, in globalization, because we see there's so many geopolitical tensions in the world, and China would like to play a stable forces, which means stable economic reform, stable in opening up, and will give the world confidence. Hainan's opening up and Hainan's free trade port policy is a kind of chances for Chinese government.
Thank you. Professor Liu, you just mentioned an industry, one of the main pillar industries of Hainan, which is the high-efficiency tropical agriculture. And that, I think, Ms. Wu is kind of specialized in. Can you introduce to us about how does the participation in RCEP contribute to the overall growth and development of the Hainan Free Trade Port industry-wise?
Okay, thank you for your question. And for example, I just come from Sanya Yazhou Science City, and we focus on 4 strategic industries. First one is the seed breeding, just the tropical agriculture. And the second is our deep sea science, and the third one is the life science, and the last one is the digital economy. So focus on our RCEP member and RCEP agreements. We just can use the agreements to build the mechanism for a lot of companies and innovation centers, and also universities, institutions, just on this platform to have some cooperations. This is the first method. And also, we just can build a sharing platform for all the elements to give their resources here, and also to give a lot of treatment and investment. So I think that besides just focus on the RCEP member and RCEP agreements, we just can have a path for all the members to have cooperations. For example, focus on our seed breeding. We just can provide a sharing platform for seed breeding CRO services. And also we just can export the services to the ASEAN countries to promote 2 sides economic development.
Thanks. Indeed, but when we think of Hainan, one thing that pops to our head is the tropical island, sunshine, beach, and maybe coconut trees. Yeah. So, Mr. Guo, I have a question for you. So now, what changes have you seen since the establishment of the Hainan Free Trade Port?
I really see there are lots of the change once the FTP and policies has been launched in Hainan. We can see there are more and more foreigner customers. They would like to send their aircraft to airline for aircraft and maintenance. So, and in addition, as I heard and as we know, the Chinese aviation authority has approved the 7th traffic rights for Hainan Island. I think it is a unique opportunity for Hainan to develop the aviation industry. And especially as we mentioned before, there are more and more tourists come to the Hainan. They must be taking the air transportation to Hainan. So I really expect there are a blooming business for aviation.
Professor Gu, what measures being made by the Hainan government on deepening the cooperation with the RCEP member countries?
I'm happy to see Hainan government is very actively to participate the cooperation between Hainan and the RCEP. And I think several months ago, the commercial department of Hainan government already published 16 measures to promote the cooperation. And I think some of them are very interesting. For example, highlight importance of advanced manufacturing. So this is a very important area for collaboration between RCEP member country and also Hainan. Because I think this is our future's pillar industry for whole China and also for Hainan. So I think another area is regarding for developing consumer product. Because Hainan in this aspect is very strong, and also in future, Hainan will, develop as a service center. We know Hainan every 2 years, I think, to have an international consumer product expo.
Oh, every year that's
every year,
the
okay.
China International Consumer
Wonderful.
Products Expo.
Wonderful.
That's being held annually.
Yes, I think. So I think another very important area is regarding how to promote the collaboration in terms of providing services for people to understanding more on Hainan and also more on RCEP. Hainan government also promised to provide this kind of services. I think this kind of policy, 16 measures, shows Hainan's very strong commitment to the RCEP by using the RCEP as a very good opportunity and also promote the bilateral cooperation between Hainan Free Trade Zone and the RCEP.
I would just continue the Professor Gu just mentioned about new policy of Hainan Free Trade Port. Hainan government is very engaged, and we see that these 16 articles, and some of them mentioned like think tank exchanges.
Think tank, yes.
Because we know Hainan's location has the geopolitical proximity to ASEAN countries, and it's very important in the Asia-Pacific regions. But we need to coordinate with all these governments. And we need, not only from the government's level, but also from the industry association. For example, we are developing our industries with RCEP countries. And there should be cooperation and exchanges between think tanks, educational institutions, and industry associations. For example, we can hold yearly dialogue and to invite them to come here. And we should give more chances to Hainan local people to go there and to learn from the others. We say that when people are connected, we will know more about each other's culture, customs, and we will know their way, how we deal in business, how we deal with others. And this is very important.
Right, so you just mentioned about the importance of industry in these 16 measures. And as an industry insider, Ms. Wu, how crucial is the consistency of policies and regulations for business to thrive and succeed?
So in my opinion, policies and regulations are very important to support the trade and investment, and also, for example, the cross-border capital flow, data flow. So all the things just have the policy and also especially for the legal policies to support the treatment and also the investment. So first of all, we just need policies. For example, all the members just have the same agreement with the policies. They know that, they use that, and also they use the policies to give the industries a lot of support. And second, especially for the legal, and we just have some trade and the investment legal measures, and also a lot of IP rights protection measures to support the agreement.
The services of trade has been increasing in Hainan in recent years, and I have a very specific question for you, Mr. Guo. March this year, an aircraft owned by a well-known Irish aircraft leasing company landed at Haikou. Can you tell us more about it?
It's very interesting things. Actually, it is also related to the benefits we enjoyed from the FTP, the policies. So as you see, in Ireland, there are registered a lot of aircraft leasing company. And they just transfer their aircraft from one country to another country. In this case, the leasing company transferred their aircraft from Europe Airlines to the airlines of the Southeast Asia. So they're looking for the, we call the MRO, maintenance and the repair and overhaul company. As a HA Technic, we are one of the MRO. And they're looking for the MRO to provide the, as we said, as the bridge check, the service for their aircraft, because there are different regulations between the Europe and the Asia country. So usually they have to do some the modification and the aircraft painting before they transfer the aircraft from the one country to another country. And here we see a huge the opportunity for us to develop our international the service. And Hainan, and as the, actually very near to the southeastern of the southeastern of the aviation market. So it is the perfect the place for leasing, for global leasing company to do their regional check in Hainan. That's why we catch this opportunity, and we provide the service for the global leasing airline, leasing company. And they enjoy our service, and the most important is they are very efficient the custom claim in Hainan. This is, I think, the most the benefits attract the global the company to send their aircraft to Hainan.
Yeah, this is one of the geographic advantages that Hainan can provide to those companies, and your company is enjoying those benefits. How can the businesses within the Hainan Free Trade Port leverage preferential tariffs and reduced trade barriers under the RCEP to expand their export capabilities? Ms. Wu.
Okay, I think maybe we can just use tools to just give a lot of leverage of the treatment. For example, nowadays we just use the positive list, and a lot of products just in this positive list, they can just share the zero tariff and also the low tax rate about these policies. But maybe by 2025, we just have the negative list. If the products or service not in this list, we just can do a lot of things here, and to also to share the zero tariffs and the low tax, and also to have the cross-border capital flow, and also you can just to do a lot of things with the digital ways, have the data flow in and out for facilitation, and also maybe more free, have some liberalization. So I think use a lot of tools and a lot of methods to support all the things just can settle down here.
Yeah, and a lot of what we've been talking about just now can be related to the business environment of Hainan in general. I mean, business environment is important in many ways, isn't it? And how can Hainan improve its competitiveness and attractiveness to investors combining RCEP? Professor Gu.
I think business environment is very important, is a key. And but how can we make our business environment improve? I think we need to think about this from the demand side. We need to consider what's the investors' requirement, what's the demand, and also the talents, whether it's a domestic talents or foreign talents, they need, they want. So we need to design or making our business environment from this perspective to meet their expectation, meet their requirement. I think it's a very important one. Second point, I think our business environment should be comprehensive one. It's not just for the economic issue, it's not just for the financial issue. For example, including the social development, the safety of the society, and education. Just now, Professor Lu mentioned people's exchange, communication. I think I want to say the business environment is a very comprehensive one, include every aspect. So in that case, we can, make our Hainan Free Trade Port became a very competitive and to attract foreign investment and also foreign trade come to our Hainan.
Professor Gu, you've been working and living in Singapore for a few decades now, and how do you think of, how can Hainan draw experience from the business environment that they've been creating there?
Yeah, it's true. Singapore's business environment is very high quality. Just as I mentioned, Singapore's approach is to form the business environment from all aspects. We cannot treat the business environment from the narrow perspective. We need to think of even broader, issue. For example, I think we need to have our environment internationalization to learn and apply international common practice. For example, from the RCEP standard and the rules. Secondly, I think must be legalization, must be law-based environment, protect the interest of the investors, and also readily solve the business dispute. For example, in Singapore, the solution for the business dispute is not just to go to the judicious settlement, also provide very wide alternatives. For example, mediation. Another one is we need to think about what's our comparative advantage. We always need to ask this question. If we do the things same with the surrounding country, with our competitors, I think it's very hard for us to have a growth. Yes. Just now I mentioned in Hainan, we have a very nature rich. We have a lot of natural resources. But how about another one? For example, government policy making, policy implementation, our capability to serve the business society and also talents. I think this is a very wide, scope, include every issue.
Speaking of the policy support, I think regional supply chain connectivity is one of them. So, Mr. Guo, I have a question. How does the RCEP agreement enhance regional supply chain and corporations within the Hainan Free Trade Port?
Okay, I think it is a good question, and because the aviation industry as the global industry, and as mentioned by Mr. Professor Gu, it has been the supply chain of the listed industry has been seriously damaged in the last 3 years. And it's very difficult for us to recover from those damage in short term. And that's why it is very important for Hainan at this moment to launch the FTP policies and also to develop the close relationship with the RCEP the countries, and in order to develop more resources of the supply of the aviation the components. And Hainan at this moment, I think, in my opinion, can play a very important role as the link between the Chinese mainland and the Southeast Asia aviation market. We can treat the components and maintain components, and even we can manufacture the components in Hainan. And we can do a very good bridge between the international market and the mainland market. So that's why I think the RCEP and the FTP of the Hainan Island also can be has a very good contribution to the international aviation business.
Professor Lu, how can the Hainan Free Trade Port leverage its strategic location in terms of logistics?
We think about logistics. We will think about by air, by shipping, or by railway. But we should not ignore there's another logistic or very important area for logistics. That is the ICT, information and communication technology, and digital economy. For these kind of things, if we can apply these technology, big data for these things, and we can improve the strategic importance and strategic capabilities to build Hainan as an international transportation hub, which means improve the efficiencies of logistics. And I think you have also mentioned a lot and give the example of the cooperation of aviation. And maybe we will also, in future, we develop more aviation security agreements with other ASEAN countries.
Yeah, and Mr. Guo is actually in the transportation industry for years. And what are some of the challenges you have seen so far in that industry?
That's why I said just the supply chain is a huge problem in our industry. That's why the components, the free flow of the components is very important for our industry. And Hainan Islands, we enjoy the policies, the tariff-free, the zero tariff, the policies of the FTP. That's really helped us to import and the components from the different countries of the world. Aviation is the global industry, and like the main type of the aircraft in our fleet is manufactured by the American company like the Boeing, and also the European company like the Airbus. And that's why most of the components we have to import from the American and the European countries. So the zero tariff is really helping us to lower our cost to pay for the tariff and also to some other the cost to be reduced. We can to provide a good opportunity currently for airlines to enjoy the components with to purchasing of the components with the lower the cost, and to enhance the competitive advantage of the airlines in their aviation markets. So it's also very important.
Right. Thanks. And Professor Gu, in what specific ways has the RCEP agreement enhanced industrial collaboration and trade opportunities of Hainan with ASEAN?
I think ASEAN economy very important. So now China is the number 2 economic power, but ASEAN will be the 4th economic power in a few years later. So these are 2 very important economic engines. So how to integrate ASEAN and China, I think Hainan can play a very important role. So this will create an ecosystem for the cooperation from all of the world, especially from ASEAN countries. Generally speaking, ASEAN and China, especially ASEAN and Hainan, is complement each other. And we can use Hainan's special tax regime, for example, duty-free and the low incorporate tax, and also zero tariff. We can attract ASEAN businessmen set up their companies in Hainan. Because Hainan, very important advantage is can import from all the world in the very low tariff, was even zero. But after processing, after manufacturing, the product can sell to other parts of the world, including Chinese mainland. Okay? So this kind of environment create a plenty of opportunity for ASEAN countries to integrate their production chain, their supply chain with Hainan, and through Hainan, go to Chinese mainland, go to the rest of the world. I think this is talk about the supply chain or production chain, they can complement each other. For the trade itself, we know RCEP itself is a trade pact, a lot of preferential arrangement for the tax reduction. So I think they will encourage many people by using Hainan as a trade destination and also as a platform. I think this is a very important aspect. So I want to mention another thing is regarding very important innovation is RCEP's so-called origin in region, is so-called a certificate of origin. Under the RCEP, there's a very good innovation. In the past, this kind of a certificate is just for one individual country. Their value added can increase by at least 30%, can get this kind of a tariff zero. But under the RCEP rules, so they can accumulate different member countries. They put together to form this kind of a value added 30% or 40% to get the certificate of origin. So I think this is a very important advantage for ASEAN countries. Many of the ASEAN countries is a lot of SMEs, small and medium-sized enterprises. So they go abroad, go to international market. Actually, their capability is not strong. But if under these special arrangements, the small company can come to somewhere, for example, in Hainan. I think Hainan will create very good environment for these SMEs. Because today's SMEs maybe can grow up in future as industry giant. So I think Hainan can play the role for ASEAN enterprises. They put their investment in Hainan to form the industry chain and also supply chain in Hainan.
So Hainan has been creating the environment for low tax rates and zero tariff and a more simplified tax regime for those SMEs. And Ms. Wu, my next question is for you. So what sectors or industries have seen notable growth and development as a result?
Okay. For example, just like the seabraiding, we have the supply chain for maybe product export, import, and also the service trade. Maybe in the future, for Hainan FTP, a lot of services, companies, enterprises will provide a lot of service to go global, and maybe ASEAN countries just can provide some services go China. So go global and go China maybe is two ways just to have the supply chain here, and also a lot of services just can established on the digital ways. For example, we have some digital economic, and a lot of digital merchandise, and also a lot of things based on the data. So information and data and a lot of services based on these ways maybe is a future which can influence Hainan FTP and have maybe new economic influences on this area.
Right, so we've been talking about supply chain connectivity and the policy support. I think innovation about technology is also a very important part, especially nowadays for Hainan province as the front line of reform and opening up. So my question for you, Mr. Guo, is how does the RCEP agreement foster innovation and technology collaboration within the Hainan Free Trade Port?
Yes, actually, the aviation industry is also a high technology incentive industry. And that's why I just give the example of Singapore. In Singapore, they developed the aviation business with high technology incentive. And that's why after the 14 years, the Singapore already becomes the leader of this industry. We think in our opinion, it is very good the benefits for us to learn firstly from the Singapore how does the Singapore develop their capability in aviation, in maintenance, and also the manufacture business. And the second, how do we to take the benefits and the advantage of China with the manufacture capability, and to develop our own the capability and know-how and also the intelligence and property, and after that transfer into our business, and also maybe we can sell it to the South Asian the countries where they also looking for the better the solution in this industry. So we really see technology, especially innovation in this industry, can create a lot of the new business opportunity. Like we give you another example, like Lufthansa Technik. And the Lufthansa Technik also belongs to the airline of the Lufthansa, which is one of the largest airlines in Europe. And they developed their the strong engineering design capability for aircraft. And they also produce many of the components, parts of the aircraft. And this gives them a strong competitive advantage in aviation, as we see the MRO business. So this is give us also a good idea how do we develop our business with innovation and with the high technology incentive. So that's why I say actually in Hainan, in future, we should has a good opportunity to cooperation with the countries in RCEP countries and also with the other countries, how to develop our aviation business with the high quality, not only in volume, but also with the quality and also with the innovation.
Right, but combining that with the unique characteristics of Hainan, and in what ways can the Hainan Free Trade Port utilize the opportunities presented by RCEP to drive technological advancement and innovation within the region?
China, we already, with the decades, the years, the developments, our aviation capability has become the stronger, much stronger than before. And we do have enough the capability to develop our own technologies in this industry, such as we can apply the 5G and into our aircraft the checking area. And also we develop our own the prediction, the methodology to for the manufacture of the parts. And in just the way, we can really enhance the safety of the aircraft operation and also can avoid the unscheduled grounding of the aircraft. You see, the unscheduled grounding of the aircraft is really the waste, the resources of the airlines. Maybe the 1 day of the unscheduled grounding will cost millions of yuan for airlines. So it's a huge cost. That's why we developed a lot of the new technology to avoid such things to happen. And we also has our the confidence as a professor, the good side. Maybe then it's we can in long term we can really see we have our own confidence based on our the fleet size to develop the new technology with our own know-how and intelligence the property. And we also can take the advantage of the agreement of RCEP to transfer such the know-how and intelligence the property to the RCEP countries, and to build up maybe in future to build up the new companies in those countries because the more close to the markets. On the other hand, we also can to invite the company who with the better technology and with the good capability of the innovation into Hainan Island to cooperation with us.
About the innovation and technology, for example, China is quite advanced in e-commerce you know that we have developed this kind of e-commerce model, and now it's everywhere. It's spread into the world. And e-commerce and Chinese model can also easily be accepted in the in RCEP countries, because most of the RCEP countries have a very close cultural and societal ties with China. And for this, we need financial fintech. And we have also the Chinese digital currency, and our central bank is also quite advanced in this. I mean, the technology transfer and innovation, and these, if we look at these in China, we will see that in different levels. And China is already in quite advanced levels. And for these, there is also a way of transform these innovations, especially in financial technologies, to the RCEP countries and to the ASEAN countries.
Yes, Professor Lu, I think you just mentioned a very good point there of combining research institutions and talent to drive innovation and technology advancement.
I think, just like our friendship just mentioned, that first of all, I think we need maybe more opening up atmosphere for the talents to do a lot of innovation things. And also maybe we can just provide them a good platform, provide them a good atmosphere, and provide them maybe financial support and policy support to give them more freedom to do the innovation things. And second, I think just we need maybe a good platform, sharing platform, to put a lot of resources here, and they just can find every element to do the innovation thing. For example, they can just find some technical support, they can just find the talent support, and they can just find a lot of enterprises to give their services for them to help them to do the innovation things. And the third one, just maybe for government, we need to facilitate a good ecosystem, just combine the policies and somehow universities, institutions, and also the education way, good education ways and training ways for talents, and to promote all the things together. And also we just can establish some accelerators, incubations for them to do some different things here. So maybe that is the main aim for Hainan FTP, to just provide a good atmosphere, a good platform for innovation.
Right now, I have an open question for all of you. So we are now talking about the technology part, and high-tech industry is one of the pillar industry of Hainan. So in terms of aerospace, and we just established China's first commercial space center, commercial launch center in China. So what are some of the other industries that you think that are suitable to grow in Hainan from RCEP?
I think information technology is always very important, because if we say that it brings lots of opportunities to enterprise, to companies, but all these companies, they need to identify where is the business opportunities, and what are the regulations, how we can enhance our competitiveness, and how we can find investors, how we can find people who sell us these goods. All these need information. And I think it's important to build a kind of information platform to use big data. And for these, and digital economy, China has already said is one of the major focus currently, so for our new development. So this is why I think digital economy, information technology, and to use the big data to connect all this information, to build the information platform, for sharing this information, both for Hainan, for Chinese mainland, as well as for RCEP members.
I think another very important area is green technology and also green industry. So this is our world direction. So Hainan, fortunately, in the past development, we didn't pollute our environment. So I think this is a good point for us to target the green technology and the related industry development.
Right, on to our last part, the future prospects of Hainan Free Trade Port under RCEP. Now, there's an open question. So how can the Hainan Free Trade Port leverage the opportunities provided by RCEP to foster sustainable economic growth in the region? And specifically, which sectors within the free trade port are expected to benefit the most in terms of promoting green economy and sustainable practices?
So we can think about the two ways development. One is how to develop our industry along the traditional path. So, for example, upgrading our traditional industry. So, but I think another way is to grasp our current trend. So what's our global trend for development? I think some of you mentioned very often regarding the digital development, green development. So I think we should target this new area also. So this is not just the industrial development. It's not just the economic development. Also for, just like I mentioned, the overall sustainability development. I think maybe we can consider from these two perspectives to design our overall development framework.
Yeah, in my opinion, actually for Hainan, also for our industry, we're also looking for the different strategy. Actually, also we benchmark with Singapore. However, we know there still the huge, how to say, the distance between our current capability with the MR, the Singapore. But then we also we did also the research for the MRO company in the Southeast Asian countries. Actually, if we compare with the labor cost, absolutely, those in RCEP countries, they really do have the huge competitive advantage compared with the current in China. So how do we to position our strategy, what we should do in future? I think this is the questions we needed to spend more time to think about that. So currently for us, we also looking for, especially with the agreements has been signed with the RCEP countries, what kind of competitive position we are located. As mentioned by Professor Gu, we don't want to be the same maybe with the each one. However, we want to develop our own way, how to enhance our own capabilities with our own benefits, advantages, and we want to work in different ways with the other countries and the other the competitors. So this is what I think about once I come to join the discussion. Today's discussion also give me a lot of good ideas, and I hope in the future I can have a lot of the research and continue to do in such the area.
Right, and the development of a place, whether it's a free trade port or a city or province, it needs talent. So my question for you would be, Professor Lu, what strategies and initiatives can be implemented within the Hainan Free Trade Port to promote job creation and employment opportunities as a result of the RCEP agreement?
I think Hainan government has already realized, as I mentioned previously, the human capital is very important for Hainan's development. And I think there's a visa-free policies that will facilitate tourism.
From 59
definitely,
countries.
yes, with other RCEP member states, and also expand to other regions, not only within the RCEP regions. And I believe within the time, Hainan will become more and more well-known in the world as a very important international hub, either economically and in transportation. And there will be lots of people come to Hainan. There needs a lot of regulations to just adapt to these changes. And I will also mention a little bit about our within the Belt and Road Initiative, because I think the importance of Hainan Free Trade Port in China's Belt and Road Initiative. And if we look at its position, it's a very important road of the 21st Maritime Silk Road. And I believe this is the future of Hainan because its geographic locations with these logistic hardware connectivity, there will be a bright future for Hainan. And we always mention that China would like to build a community of shared future for mankind. In RCEP regions, we talk about these a shared community for mankind. In China's, recently we had China's Central Asia Summit. We also mentioned that China will build a community with Central Asian countries as a shared future for mankind. And China is a force of peace and development. And with the development of Hainan, and these will give an example to the world that China would connect its development with the region and bring prosperities and peace in the region.
Indeed, that's very good prospects for the future. And actually, just to add one point, Hainan is about halfway through of its Million Talents project. I think Ms. Wu, Mr. Guo, as a talent in the Hainan Free Trade Port, and you're witnessing the growth and the progress of the Hainan Free Trade Port. Now, what are the potential challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for the Hainan Free Trade Port as it continues to develop with the RCEP, maybe bigger Belt and Road?
Maybe for myself, I think first of all, I just pay attention to the exchange way. So maybe Hainan FTP just the exchange center for trade, for investment, for a lot of informations, data flows, capital flows. So if there have a lot of opportunities for exchange, it will have a lot of opportunities for talents to do their things, to do what we want. So this is the first point. And second, I just think in Hainan FTP, it is a window for China, for Chinese mainland to opening up this window to the world, not only for the RCEP countries, but also for the worldwide and global, every country just have the exchange here. So maybe it's just realize a lot of things, new opportunities, new choices, and new informations for the maybe young talents.
And I think one of the very important way to attract talents is so talents, which mean professions and people who are more experienced, who have a higher education level. For example, Hainan is very famous for its Boao Forum. And each year, Boao Forum would attract so many talents to Hainan. And I think this will be future industry of Hainan as well to continue to hold high-level forums to attract talents to Hainan's global talents, which means not only from China, but not only from RCEP member states, but also from other parts of the world, from Africa, from Latin America, from Europe. You should hold more international high-level forums and put as a permanent location in Hainan. And people will come to Hainan and see the development of Hainan and see the beautiful tourism sceneries and to see the biodiversity of Hainan. I think they will love these places. This is the best way to show the world of Hainan.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, Hainan boasts its natural environment. For example, the Hainan tropical rainforest, it's the national park, as well as some of the wetlands, mangrove trees, lots of the things that Hainan is building. My last question for you is, in your opinion, what are the long-term economic, social, and environment prospects of the Hainan Free Trade Port, and how do you foresee it contributing to the overall development and growth of Hainan Island, or even China?
I think we can really see, with the development of the economic and also business of the Hainan, there must be a huge, will attract many of the talents that come to the Hainan as well. And also, we can really see it's very important that if we can provide a platform for those talents and to can help them to reach their career, the target. And that's why it's important that we need, firstly, in my opinion, we needed to, as mentioned, we should have a good and transparent the policies and good regulations to let the talents, those talents enjoy the environment in Hainan. Secondly, we can start to build up the good industry business to, in order to attract the talents that come to here and they can do some the high value added the job, and that's what helps them to looking for the better opportunity here. I think the third one is also will maybe encourage those talents that can be can be transferred or can be moved freely between the countries. Those will help us to attract more international talents, especially in aviation industry. So it is very important.
I think maybe Hainan FTP will be a great sample for China, how to opening up to the world and how to do the exchange center and how to make a lot of people, talents come here to do the industry things to promote the development of the economy.
My understanding, the Hainan Free Trade Port is not just an economic project. We should view the Hainan Free Trade Port as a catalyst for promoting the overall development of Hainan and also to provide a good example for the whole country, means China, future development. So I hope we cannot just focus on foreign direct investment, foreign tourists, and also foreign trade. We need to think more than that. So what's the real purpose for China to have this kind of a free trade zone, free trade port? I think this is for so-called high quality development. High quality development is not just for high quality economic project, it's for high quality development for every aspect. So I think the Hainan Free Trade Port should target in the even high standard objective and to show to all of the China a good example.
Indeed. Professor Liu, what do you think of it?
Okay. I quite agreed with Professor Gu's statement that Hainan's free trade port is not only about economic development, but you should put it in a bigger view of China's development and Chinese ways of its modernization. China say that we are inclusive. We welcome all people to cooperate. And RCEP and Hainan is the example. that we want a true multilateralism. We want to lead the global economic globalization. And this is, China welcomes all the other countries. And RCEP and Hainan is an example for a true multilateralism because it emphasized people-to-people exchanges. It emphasized to reform its domestic markets, to develop regulations and standards for more countries, to build a bigger group. And this is something that I think it's very important. And I hope China, I hope Hainan Free Trade Port will have a fruitful development in recent years.
Thank you, Professor Liu. And thank you all for sharing your insights and analysis. Thank you so much. As a crucial point, a crucial intersection of domestic and international circulations, Hainan is riding the wave of RCEP for a more sustainable development. And today in this panel, we've discussed the boundless opportunities that arise from this convergence, and the transformative changes we have witnessed are just the beginning. And we are eagerly anticipate the sustainable growth and reciprocal relationships that will shape the future. Thanks for joining us. I'm Liao Zhu. Bye.